Welcome back to the channel. My name is Thomas Fletcher and I'm the host of the Military Social Work Network. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor by smashing that like button, by subscribing to the channel, and by sharing this video with your social work colleagues and friends. The purpose of this channel is to create a community of hope and support where military and aspiring military social workers can come for relevant news, information, and inspiration. Just a quick disclaimer that this video is not being endorsed, sponsored, promoted by any military or governmental agencies, and the views and opinions stated in this video are mine alone. So welcome back. We are continuing our series of Black History Month military leaders. Today we will be highlighting not an individual, but we will be highlighting a group or a unit of military leaders. So in today's episode, we will be talking about the Tuskegee Airmen. Yes, we will be talking about the Tuskegee Airmen. So the Tuskegee Airmen were a group of primarily African-American military pilots, both fighter and bomber, and airmen who fought in World War II. They formed the 332nd Expeditionary Operations Group and the 477th Bombardment Group of the United States Army Air Forces. The name also applies to navigators, bombardiers, mechanics, instructors, crew chiefs, nurses, cooks, and other support personnel. So let's look at their background. So all black military pilots who trained in the United States trained at Greil Field, Kennedy Field, Shorter Field, and Tuskegee Army Airfields. They were educated at Tuskegee Institute, which is now known as Tuskegee University, located near Tuskegee, Alabama. Of the 922 pilots, 5 were Haitians from the Haitian Air Force, and 1 pilot was from Trinidad. It also included a Hispanic or Latino airman born in the Dominican Republic. The 99th Pursuit Squadron, later known as the 99th Fighter Squadron, was the first black flying squadron and the first to deploy overseas to North Africa in April 1943, and later to Sicily and Italy. The 332nd Fighter Group, which originally included the 100th, the 301st, and the 302nd Fighter Squadrons, was the first black flying group. It deployed to Italy in early 1944. Although the 477th Bombardment Group trained with North American B-25 Mitchell bombers, they never served in combat. In June 1944, the 332nd Fighter Group began flying heavy bomber escort missions, and in July 1944, with the addition of the 99th Fighter Squadron, it had 4 fighter squadrons. The 99th Fighter Squadron was initially equipped with Curtiss P-40 Warhawk fighter bomber aircraft. The 332nd Fighter Group and its 100th, 301st, and 302nd Fighter Squadrons were equipped for initial combat missions with Bell P-39 Air Cobras, later with Republic P-47 Thunderbolts, and finally with the aircraft with which they became most commonly associated, the North American P-51 Mustang. When the pilots of the 332nd Fighter Group painted the tails of their P-47s red, the nickname Red Tails was coined. The red markings that distinguished the Tuskegee Airmen included the red bands on the noses of P-51s, as well as a red rudder. The P-51B and D Mustangs flew with similar color schemes, with red propeller spinners, yellow wing bands, and all red tail surfaces. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American military aviators in the United States Armed Forces. During World War II, black Americans in many U.S. states were still subject to Jim Crow laws, and the American military was racially segregated, as was much of the federal government. The Tuskegee Airmen were subjected to discrimination both within and outside the Army. So let's look at their accomplishments. In all, 992 pilots were trained in Tuskegee from 1941 to 1946. 355 were deployed overseas. 84 lost their lives. The toll included 68 pilots killed in action or accidents, 12 killed in training and non-combat missions, and 32 captured as prisoners of war. The Tuskegee Airmen were credited by higher commands with the following accomplishments: 1,578 combat missions, 1,267 for the 12th Air Force, 311 for the 15th Air Force. 179 bomber escort missions with a good record of protection, losing bombers only 7 missions and a total of only 27 compared to an average of 46 among other 15th Air Force P-51 groups. 112 enemy aircraft destroyed in the air, another 150 on the ground, and 148 damaged. This included 3 Me-262 jet fighters shot down, 950 rail cars, trucks, and other motor vehicles destroyed, 1 torpedo boat put out of commission. The ship concerned was a World War I vintage destroyer of the Italian Navy that had been seized by the Germans and reclassified as a torpedo boat. It was attacked on June 25th, 1944, and damaged so severely she was never repaired. She was decommissioned on November 8, 1944, and finally scuttled on February 5th, 1945. 40 boats and barges were destroyed by the Tuskegee Airmen. Let's look at their awards and decorations. 3 Distinguished Unit Citations for the 99th Pursuit Squadron from May 30th to June 11th, 1943 for actions over Sicily. For the 99th Fighter Squadron between May 12th and May 14th, 1944 for successful airstrikes against the Monte Cassino in Italy. The first 2 Distinguished Unit Citations were received by the 99th Fighter Squadron, were awarded to the groups to which the squadron was attached. At that time, when a group received the honor, it was shared with the squadrons they were assigned or attached to the group. The 332nd Fighter Group and its 99th, 100th, and 301st Fighter Squadron for March 24th, 1945, they received an award for a bomber escort mission to Berlin, during which pilots of the 100 FS shot down 3 enemy Me-262 jets. The 302nd Fighter Squadron did not receive this award as it had been disbanded on March 6, 1945. The Tuskegee Airmen received at least 1 Silver Star, 96 Distinguished Flying Crosses to 95 airmen. Captain William A. Campbell was awarded 2. They've also received 14 Bronze Stars, 744 Air Medals, and 8 Purple Hearts. So I'm going to stop there, and again, I really, I think the most popular characterization of the Tuskegee Airmen was portrayed by HBO in their 1995 movie, aptly titled "The Tuskegee Airmen." I think that's a good characterization of their experiences, the discrimination that they went to even before combat, going through training, and then, again, excelling. When they were given the opportunity, they were able to show how valuable they really were. And I love that scene in the movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and the 2 white airmen are looking for the red tails, the bombers that, you know, were able to escort them and keep them safe. And they just couldn't believe that it was black airmen that had kept them safe. They couldn't believe it, you know. So the Tuskegee Airmen, they went through a lot, but again, what I love, why I'm highlighting the Tuskegee Airmen, and in previous episodes I highlighted General Benjamin O. Davis Jr., who was a commander of the Tuskegee Airmen. I'm highlighting these leaders because they inspire me. They inspire me to be my best, and I think they can inspire all of us, despite whatever challenges, whatever systemic challenges, whether it's racism, sexism, ageism, you know, whatever we're going through. We can learn from these men, from these units that faced you know all kinds of barriers, all kinds of discrimination, and yet they push themselves to be the very best. So I'm going to stop there. I want to thank you all for watching this video. For all the social workers out there, thank you for the work that you do every day for your clients, for your agency, and for the profession. Please continue to support each other and yourselves. Bye for now.